Should we see what this Ed character is all about? You guys ready? All right. Let's let Ed in, and then I want you guys to blow the chat up for Ed here. All right, James, you can go ahead and let Ed in. See if I can find him here.
Hey, what's up?
Whoa, there he is, Mr. Ed Turney. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, man.
Dude, happy Wednesday.
Yeah, this is late for me. I like this. This is like the quiet hour. I like this.
This is actually when you start to when you get into your genius.
Well, we're gonna find out. I'll do my best. I don't know if I'd use genius, but I will definitely do my best for you guys.
I set a high standard for us, so we'll
I
see here.
appreciate it.
Thank
What's
you
up, guys?
guys.
Eli,
Thank you guys for
Ernest,
giving
what's
love
up?
Ed some love. Amazing.
Nice. Like the fire emojis. I appreciate you. Lindsay, what's up? Alyssa, Jose, what's going on, guys?
Dude. Okay. Ed, let's do this thing. I think the everyone's excited. I kind of gave them a little bit of a little backstory of your time in gym launch, but if you don't mind kind of sharing, what was your transition from going into your gyms, and kind of like basically like how did you become an entrepreneur? What was your story? Why gyms?
Yeah. There's no like beautiful passion behind it or like I wanted to change the world kind of thing. I literally just grew up doing martial arts and like old school traditional martial arts, if anybody's like in that space. And around early 20s, I was like, this is not a sustainable career path. And so literally just because some of the kids that I taught, their moms were like, we want to do something too, but we don't want to like get hit in the face. I was like, oh, well, there's the like fitness kickboxing thing that I see all over the place. I was like, let me just make a class for the moms. And so I made a class for, the first 9 moms twice a week for like 45 minutes. And then it just kept growing. And then it kind of outpaced the martial arts thing. And I was like, I think I might have a career in this like fitness based thing. And so it just became the side thing to like help a couple of the moms of the martial arts school. And then when I realized it could actually be a career path, I went all in on that. And that was like 11 years ago now, 12 years ago, something like that.
Amazing. And so you had a martial arts gym, and then you started to see that the moms really like the boxing or the non contact part of martial arts.
Yeah.
And so did you keep the martial arts, or did you eventually go into like specifically like kickboxing? What was your how did your business change as you started to see that there was this opportunity over here?
Yeah. So it was one business, but it was really just a hobby that didn't make any money, but I called it a business because it was my full-time job, right? Which
Yeah.
is martial arts, but which I still love to do. And then the part-time business was the kickboxing for the women. And then it slowly just started to like be 2 full-time businesses under one roof. And I realized quickly, like, you can't have 2 businesses in one roof. Like it's a distraction. You can't
Yeah.
focus. I remember some of the newer moms of the kids were like not thrilled that like the 23-year-old girls were coming in sports bras and shorts, like ready to work out, like in the traditional martial. It was like a weird culture like collide. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. So I moved the martial arts to a separate location. I kept kickboxing where it was. And then it was 2 separate entities for a long time. And then obviously the kickboxing thing just scaled and grew.
That's awesome. And did you end up going into a franchise? Is that correct?
I did. I regret it then, but it's
Yeah.
actually working out better now.
Tell me the process. This is good because
Yeah.
most people in here are in the cleaning business, and there's not a real strong franchise in the
Mhm.
cleaning space. Like no one in here is it's part of a franchise. But what was your decision making? Like, hey, like I might like this franchise looks good, and then also knowing now that you experienced it, what are some of the things that you didn't know that you know now?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the allure of the franchise is that you're going to just buy into this thing that is perfect and works, and all you have to do is just put your hard-earned cash into it, and it's going to print money forever. And that's usually never ever the case. I only have fitness franchise experience, so I can't speak across the board, but my point of view on franchises has shifted quite a bit over the years. So I used to think it was a great opportunity because it's like a system in a box as it's sold. But unless there's something really unique and proprietary about the way that acquisition happens, and like they're actually doing acquisition for you,
Yeah.
I don't really see a tremendous value. So like the brand of whatever fitness concept you want to talk about, it's all the same shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's like the things that actually matter is like acquisition, the money model, the business structure behind getting somebody in. Like, that's what really matters. And no one's going to do that for you. You have to learn that on your own. So I think the franchisor means well, and I think the franchisees mean well, but I think the structure of that relationship is always bound for failure because the franchisor only makes money if you open multiple locations. And generally, if you have more than one, you don't do well in that space, as I'm sure, you know, you're
Yeah.
well versed.
Yeah. And I think, coming from the Alex world where he focuses on focus, not distractions,
Yeah.
I think it doesn't lend itself doesn't lend itself to long-term success.
Yeah. I
So
mean, Alex is famous for having people close locations, and we still do it at gym launch. It's like,
yeah.
you got three, you're broke, cool, let's close two. Let's
Yeah.
learn how to run one thing incredibly well and scale that up, not wider. And then
Yeah.
when you can actually do that and outsource it, then we'll talk about a second location.
Ed, I like your perspective on this because when I was with Gym Launch and I was working with the other gym owners, a lot of them were actually part of franchises.
Mhm.
So in my mind, they own franchises and then they were also paying additional for coaching. And so you were somebody who had a franchise and paid for coaching. So kind of like, what was your, so like me, I was like, that to me just is like, why am I paying for a franchise if I'm also paying for coaching? Wasn't that what I was paying for the franchise for? But again, that's because I wasn't part of a franchise. So like, that's like more curious because you were part of a franchise. So what was your thoughts? Is that a fair thought or is there something that I'm missing on that?
I mean, I could talk about the benefits of Alex's first company, Gym Launch, for hours, but I mean, I remember getting into that program and thinking, this is what I thought buying a franchise was.
Okay.
I was like,
That's
I
basically what it
thought
was.
this is what, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the franchise just sells you this, like the brand. And like brand is such a ridiculous term for most businesses. It's like your brand is your local reputation. Like, do you do things? You know, are you punctual? Do you always you say hello? Do you like
Yeah.
if you're cleaning someone's house, it's like, is it spotless? Like, do you do a good job? Do you have good customer service? That's what your brand is in a local business. You don't need some, you know, big name or whatever. And we see that with like all the what's his name? Mark Wahlberg's, you know, fitness franchise
Yeah.
crashing. You know what I mean? Like whenever there's like a big name behind it, they never work because that's not what actually drives business. It actually is driven by the people doing the work.
Yeah. That's interesting. And so mostly almost every single person in here is a small business owner, whether they be a cleaning business or there's a couple of gym owners in here I see.
Nice.
But what was like when you made the decision to stop doing the gym space and do Prestige Labs, like what was that transition like for you?
Super weird.
Yeah.
Super because I went from because I had what did I had two gyms at the time, plus I had the martial arts school as a hobby. So I had three like leases in my name and tons of employees and like all the, you know, lots of payroll and
Yeah.
all the like day-to-day stuff. And then literally overnight, I had none of it. And then, you know, Alex gave me a call and he's like, so what are you doing with your life now? And I was like, honestly, man, I'm just like bored and single and I'm like on Tinder. I'm just like not doing anything. And he's like, well, do you want to come work for Prestige? Because you know, you have like the record in sales, because I think you'd be a good person to like come, you know, work on the team. And I was like, huh. And like I've never had a job my entire life, ever. So I remember talking to Kale, who I know you had on a couple weeks ago. I was like,
Yeah.
on my interview with him, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm gonna be really honest. I was like, I have no idea if I can like work in this structure. But luckily, I found out literally on day one. Alex is like, "Cool. So, what are your ideas?" And I'm like, "I think we should do this." He's like, "Great, go do it." It was complete autonomy to like actually just drive things forward, which is rare in most giant companies.
Yeah.
So it was very strange. I am glad that I did it though, because the thing that I repeated to myself when I made the decision was, I want to be a better general, so I need to be a better soldier.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have in the last 3 years learned like how to be a better team member and soldier, which has now allowed me to be a better entrepreneur like outside of it.
That's awesome, dude. And then you talked a little bit about having the record in sales and prestige. So talk about Alex would do these competitions, right? He would do these, or he'd do these contests, and one of the benefits or one of the perks of winning the contest was you get to fly out and spend a day. I think it was a day, maybe it was 2 days. I never won one, so I don't even know. You would know this better than I would. So you got to spend a day with Alex, and he basically would pour into you. So kind of
Yeah.
describe a little bit of that first time that you flew out and what that experience was like.
Yeah. So it was super interesting because in my previous like other masterminds that I've been involved and spent all the money on other coaching programs and stuff, I remember going to those events and just always being talked down to. And like always like they were just like these like very successful, millionaires, and they like had all the answers, and the way they interacted was very cold and very standoffish. And so I just thought that's what rich people do. And it's clearly not the truth. It's what fake rich people do. And I met Alex, like the part of the like day was like you go to the gym with like Alex and Layla and the other, gym owners, and you work out and you have breakfast and you do like a 6 hours of just like him answering your questions and Layla answering your questions and growing the business. And the first thing he says to me, he goes, "You're the one that did the 53,000 in 1 month?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "How'd you do it?" I go, "Oh, I just followed the play that you literally outlined in the portal. I just did it exactly what you said. And I met with 151 people one-on-one for 11 days straight. And I just sold them." He's like, "That makes sense." He goes, "Violence is always the answer." And then I was like, okay, I didn't know what he was talking about. And then the second thing he said to me, he goes, "I can't wait to learn from you." That's what he said to me. And I went, huh. Like the level of humility that he had to be like, he goes, "Well, you sold more than my gyms did." He goes, "You took the thing that we did, you made it better." Because I can't wait to hear, like, learn what you say. I'm like, it like blew my mind that someone so successful could be so open to learning new things. And that's why he has grown, in my opinion, so fast. He's just willing to accept information or knowledge from anybody and then just scale the hell out of it.
Yeah. I think there's something you said right there that maybe needs to be slowed down a little bit,
Mhm.
but sold $50,000 of supplements
Yeah.
in 1 month. And just just for reference, not that I'm a reference point, but I've only sold like 200,000 in the 4 5 years, right? I just went and looked at my Prestige Labs account just to see where I sold 212,000, and he sold $50,000 in a month,
Yeah.
but it wasn't on accident. You sat down with 131 people,
141. Yeah.
141 people
Yeah.
individually, one on one.
All one-on-ones. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to describe that that thought process, that tenacity, that like what like was it something that you were just like you were excited to do? Was it something that was like you had to do it? Was it like what was, because you're somebody who I really respect a lot in the sales world. Like for that in itself is like amazing. And we do sales training. We've done sales training the last 6 weeks, and it's something that this community loves. Um, they love to come to, and they love they love sales. And from you, you have a you have a different way to present it. So like walk us through a little bit about your mindset when you go into this launch, this first time that you're selling Alex's supplements. This is the first time you sold it too, right? Sold Prestige Labs.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through some of the thoughts, maybe some of the maybe the worries, maybe some of the shit that was going on in your head. They're like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I should be doing this.
Yeah. So I think the best salespeople in the world just have the highest levels of conviction. They actually believe in the thing they're doing. And if you don't actually believe in it, one, you shouldn't sell it because that's just going to eat you up inside. I've always hated the like, you gotta win, you gotta close them, you gotta. It's like when the sales team's like, "Fuck, got them." I just never liked that vibe to it, right? So I had asked some of the best sellers in prestige before me. I was like, "Hey, what'd you guys do?" And they all said, "We all took the supplements as a team first. We all got really good results first. So my entire team believed in it. And then we just told the clients the truth and said, this is the stack of subs we did." And then they paired it with like a little mini 6 week challenge thing. And I was like, okay. So I dragged my feet for months before I launched this because I was like, I really don't want to lose the integrity that I've built with my clients. So me and my girlfriend at the time took the subs. Then my entire team took it for 3 weeks. They got insane results. They all loved it. And so going into the meetings, I had no hesitation that everyone's going to buy it because I'm like, they were literally asking the girls at the gym, "How do you look better in the last 3 weeks?" And they're like, "Oh, we did the secret prestige challenge. Just wait, it's coming." So we build up all
That's
this
awesome.
hype, and it was just telling them the truth. So the thing I say in all my sales training is the truth is the best sales pitch. So
Yeah.
if you don't have the truth behind you, go create the truth by doing the work, and then it's easy to sell.
Yeah.
So it was exhausting, but it wasn't it wasn't challenging. There's very few limiting beliefs I had to overcome.
Yeah. So if you were to give advice to there's 40 50 over 50 cleaning business owners on here,
Mhm.
like what advice would you give to them using that frame of reference?
Yes, I don't know what like the front end offer that you guys sell, but I was just doing a podcast with Kale actually, so a lot of them know Kale, and we talked about the small business owners that struggle the most with sales don't actually put effort into their product.
Yeah.
So just like gyms is a service-based business, right? With the gyms, we're constantly like, how do we make this better? How do we make the communication better? How do we make the other deliverables better? Like, what else can we provide to be like such a wow and delight kind of a business? Like, what can we do above and beyond everybody else in the industry to like really make people feel like, I can't believe that that company does that, like how good they are.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly doing that, it becomes easier to sell. I just feel like everybody focuses on marketing and sales, but they don't focus on the actual product that they deliver. And it's like if you just made the product better, if you actually did that, you'd make more money and then you would feel better about the thing that you're selling. And usually people get stuck in this like, people have excuses, they're cheap, they just blame the leads, all that nonsense. It's like, no, maybe your business just sucks. Like maybe you just suck and you need to outwork the suckiness.
Yeah.
So kind of, what the gyms, we have gyms again. Me and my girlfriend just got a couple of gyms in Florida. And I was telling the team, I go, if we're not embarrassed of the thing we're providing today in 6 months, we're failing.
Yeah.
Like we should constantly be getting better. And that's a really hard process. And most people don't want to do it, which is why most people never get past the first level.
That's awesome. So what is your thought process on a cleaning business owner paying for a cleaning service as a way to start that process of being more convicted in their product, basically eating their own sandwich?
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to go into a new space, I would probably hire as many different people in that space to do the service, and like I would analyze the best ones. I think this in the gym space. I'm sure it's the same in all small business like niches. There's a whole lot of like criticizing the big guys or criticizing the bet, like the bigger names, and it's just like, or you could go figure out why they're successful. You go figure out the systems and processes that they have in place and actually just learn that thing. So to bring it back to the franchise world, the first question, I saw all the success they were having with like the structure and the systems, and I was like, cool, let me go learn all that stuff and then I can bring it in, as opposed to having an ego thinking that I was better. So yeah, I mean, if you don't buy the thing or you don't believe in the thing, how are you going to sell it? You have to actually sell it.
I think it's sometimes so simple. It's the simple things that can increase your conviction, and it's like eat your own sandwich. And I think what you said right there is really important too. It's actually something I did when so we split time now in Montana and Arizona. Our cleaning business is in Montana, but when we moved down to Arizona for the winter, one of the first things I did was I hired 3 different cleaning companies, right? I just wanted to go through the process and just was like, okay, like, and these were the franchises, and
Hmm?
just this it was a learning experience, and I paid the money, and it was like, cool, right? Like,
Hmm?
I only took like 1 or 2 things, but the 1 or 2 things I implemented them in my business, and they made me more convicted in my product, but also it made the company better. Which, like what you said, like our service is now better because we constantly work at it.
Yeah, it's so simple. We just have all this like head trash that gets in the way for whatever reason, ego or whatever trauma. I don't care, but just like get over it. Just get over it and be humble. Like back to Alex, like the more humility I think you can have, the faster you can grow because like you can learn from anybody.
Yeah, it's interesting. So let's talk a little about Alex, because you worked. When did you start working with Prestige Labs?
It'll be 3 years next week.
So in their beginning, you talked about how Alex was asking you ideas, right? So, everyone on here, not everyone on here, but most people on here know who Alex is, and they love Alex. And so one of the draws, why people on here is because they wanted, like, you've worked with Alex for the last 3 years. So you've talked a little bit about it, but what are some other maybe stories and other things that you can share with your experience working with Alex and even Layla as well?
Yeah. So the main thing, if you are fans of Alex, but you don't follow Layla's content, you are missing out.
Yes.
I tell everybody this. Everybody's like, "What's the biggest thing from Alex?" And I got a bunch of Alex stories, but like, I've learned from both of them. But Layla is the secret weapon to gym launch, to acquisition.com, to all the things, because her ability to scale teams and build culture and like just have insane rapid growth, it's unreal. I'm trying to think the most relevant story. I mentioned the whole violence is the answer joke. I think I've learned. I think I used to think what working hard was. Like I used to work hard. then I met Alex and I was like, oh, I'm a lazy piece of crap. Because the level of effort that he puts into things is just unparalleled. And so, like, his new kind of project is this one of zero. You can go to the website and register. One of zero, just the idea that, like, it's not one of one, it's one of zero. It's literally something that nobody else would do. I mean, the guy put, the book on the shelf there, $100 million leads, 2 years of effort, 6 hours every day. He sat working on a book, 19 different versions of it. And the book is exceptional because of that reason.
Yeah.
And just watching that, it just inspires me to be like, okay, I can do it better. Let me start from scratch. Let me rebuild it. Let me rewrite it. Let me reshoot the video, because you can always do it better. And there's never not benefit to doing more work or putting more effort in. And I just think most people will never even realize that. Never mind do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's awesome. And I'll just second that, I think that Alex is the way where he is, not an accident. It was
Yeah.
the amount of input he put in that
Mhm.
nobody saw for years. Like you and I have seen him before he became, really popular.
Mhm.
But he was even like putting inputs in well before you and I met him as well. And so like he's been doing it for a long period of time. And I think a lot of the character traits that you talk about of his humility, his willingness, his eager, it's not willingness, his eagerness to learn is what truly separates. Like he's truly curious, and he's able to like take this ego and like just like push it aside and say, hey, like Ed, please, like I'm curious, like what you have going on. I think there's so much, like our lives could be so much better if we just were able, if we, instead of like protecting ourselves, and we started just listening more and asking more questions. And that's
Mhm.
to our employees, that's to our customers, it's to our spouses, kids, right?
Mhm.
And Alex obviously is somebody who we look at from a as a business icon, but I think like he's a person icon that you can apply to very many different domains. So
It's such a good point. And back to like those one days that I used to do. So I would just make sure
how
that I
many
went.
how many did you do? Just out of curiosity.
Um, I did so many that they stopped doing them because they're like, it's just like Ed's monthly coaching call. Like they just stopped doing it because they're like, Ed wins every freaking month. Because at one point I realized I was like, well, I'm getting good at this sell and sub stuff. So like if I was short, if I was like second place or third place by like a couple grand, I would just buy a couple grand more just to win. Like I would just like buy inventory. I'm like, whatever the number on the board is like it doesn't matter how I got there. And I was like, oh, I'll just buy more. So I think I went, I don't know, 7 or 8 times in like a year. So
The only thing that stopped you was COVID, right?
that was it. Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I brought it up was because like I would go and usually like 2 or 3 different winners. So like be a couple of us. And they would ask like gym related questions. And then after the first one, I had no more gym questions because I was like, all the answers are in his book and in the training course that we already paid for. I'm like, I'm just going to do that. But I would ask them relationship questions. I would ask them like how they communicate, how they balance, work and, personal life. I would ask them like more personal, like people questions. And I think those are the things I actually learned the most from them. So I stopped asking like the business stuff. So I'm like, the answers are in the friggin' book. I'm not going to waste time with that. I'd ask the questions that weren't available in the book. And that's where I really got to like the integrity and the character and the work ethic stuff.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. And Ed's mentioned the book a couple times. And so, Ed, I don't know if you knew this, but we're giving away copies of this book tonight. So I have hard copies and I have Kindles and I have Audible versions. And every
Nice.
single person on here who does one thing, and you guys can, I'll give you another opportunity. So this is a second chance now. If you guys take a picture of me and Ed on here, okay, holding this book, or you just get it in the background. There you go. You post this on Instagram, tag me, Ed, and Alex. Okay, all three of us. I'm gonna send you a book. Everybody, 100%. So we have 50 people in here. We got to give it. We'll give out 50 books. I'll ask a loan. I'll ask Ed to loan me some money. But every single person on here will get a book if you just take action. So again, take a picture right now. Me, Ed. Okay, cool.
Look like
Post it on Instagram stories. Tag me, Ed and Alex. James, if you will, drop Ed's Instagram on here and Alex for mine. And every single person will get a book. Okay. Because like Ed just talked about a couple times, like Alex literally poured 2 years into this book. Him and Trevor, like, they like beat this book up to make it as concise and as like action packed as possible. 2 years of
that's a cool giveaway. I like that.
yeah. Just take a little bit of action, right? So okay. Prestige Labs is a really interesting business model.
Mhm.
So Prestige Labs basically uses Gym Launch's customers,
Mhm.
and it takes them and says, hey, let me teach you how to sell my product so I don't need marketing.
Mhm.
Right? It's an affiliate model, which is another chapter Alex talks about this book.
Yep.
Under the selling instead of doing the marketing yourself, like how about you go find somebody to market for you, right? So your job for Prestige Labs is to grow it, right? Head of growth.
Mhm.
And I'm no I'm not very smart, but head of growth means that I think it's your job to freaking make this thing so it continues to move up every single month, every single quarter, every single year.
Mhm.
So if you don't mind kind of sharing, what is the strategy to grow an affiliate marketing company like Prestige Labs?
Yeah. So there's literally an entire chapter in the book about Prestige Labs, which makes me so happy. Like I was reading it, I was just like, this is just I texted, I was like, dude, I'm like the shit eating grin on my face right now. Reading this chapter is just so great. Um, the main focus that the team that I propose the question to the team every single week is how do we make gym owners' lives easier? Like that is like the North Star. It's like, how do we make their life easier? How can we help them sell more products, which one benefits their customers to get better results, but two benefits them on the business side because all of our gym lords, we call them gym lords, that follow this process don't pay for marketing. Meaning, if they spend $3,000 a month on Facebook ads to get 30 or 40 new clients, the sale of the supplements completely covers that marketing budget. So when you can have free acquisition and then get, as you know, $400, $500, $600 for a 6-week challenge, you can scale a gym very, very, very fast. So we just asked for like, what can we do? So we build all the PowerPoints they use at the nutrition meetings for their clients. We build all the marketing collateral that they can post in their groups. We build internal challenges. We put up our money. We just ran a $50,000 challenge in our Facebook group that the gym owners could send their clients to and buy supplements through them. And then we would give away our money for their clients to get transformations. It's just a simple focus. How can we make the gym owner's life easier and make them more money and get their clients better results? And I think when you start with the right questions, it's easy to scale quickly. Now it's a lot of like meticulous work, right? But I think it's the right question to scale. And the business model is simple. They sign up for Gym Launch, which is a high ticket coaching program, which is basically like it's kind of like a licensing company. It's like this is how you run a successful model, regardless of what kind of workouts you do. Um, and then 2 weeks into that, they're introduced to Prestige Labs. They do that coaches challenge that I talked about that has to build conviction because we tell them, we go, don't sell something you don't believe in. So here's a bunch of subs to do it, to believe in it. And then here's how you launch to your existing member base. And then to say sell to new people. So it's super simple. It's not complicated. It's just doing the very, very boring, basic work every day without thinking that we're smarter than we are.
Yeah. I want to tell like a little quick story, and I don't know if you've heard the story, but when Alex first presented Prestige Labs to Gym Launch, he started it with a small beta group.
Hmm?
I think there was like 10, 15, maybe 20 of us at most. And he'd been talking about Prestige for a long time, but it finally got to the point where it was ready. It was ready to test. And so there's about 20 of us on the Zoom call, very similar to this. Alex is going through his pitch. He's explaining the perks. Here's how it's going to benefit everything that you just said, right? And at the time, I had never sold supplements. I was somebody who was actually very adamant and very outspoken about like, I don't do supplements. I train, I work out, F supplements, right?
Hmm.
But I also recognized that it was the best interest of the business. And I also like love Dr. Kashi, right? Like I'm a Dr. Kashi guy. I worked one-on-one Dr. Kashi for many, many years. And the fact that he created it and formulated it, I was like, okay, I'm more open. And then we got to the end of this call and we had the opportunity to buy the supplements. And I was literally just like, I could either like be a pansy about this or I could go all in, and I put my credit card in, and I was the first person to ever buy Prestige Labs. So that's my claim to fame. I was the very first person. I just was like, didn't like, I put it in there, and it was for me because I needed to be convicted. So everything that you're saying right there is what I had to do just to get over my limiting beliefs of my ego, and then of course the products, they worked. I love them. I still take the alpha stack to this day. 5 years later, I'm a huge believer in it, and obviously it made it so much easier to sell, which was also in the best interest of my business. And so I think what you said right there is like having the conviction by actually taking the products and seeing it. Then at that point, the sale became, I'm just going to tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
And
that's how simple sometimes business can be.
it really is simple. And like, if if you're selling something that you don't believe in, just stop. Like, as hard as someone works to sell something they don't believe in, you would do so much better if you actually believed in the thing. And service-based businesses are great because like you just have to put more effort in to make the product better, right? But like if there's a whatever affiliate thing or multi-level nonsense thing, like if you're trying to sell that just to make a couple bucks, stop wasting your time and attention and actually pick something you believe in. Like your life will be better. I promise. And I was saying more, I never did supplements, never sold supplements. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I dragged my feet for 6 months until I actually did that coaches challenge thing. So like it all comes down to conviction. I totally agree.
Yeah. And if you wouldn't have done it, like we wouldn't be having this conversation today. Right.
I
So
know.
it's crazy how just like some small decisions. And so I think as small business owners, we have to make so many decisions that sometimes we miss out on these small decisions that that are very impactful. And something as a simple decision as like being like finding ways to be convicted in your product. Like what would I need in order for me to like just not be able, like anytime somebody tells me no, they give me an objection, just like, but no, but listen, like you need this product, you need this service, like here, like just you just have to taste it, like get a taste of it. Like if everyone on here, if you were that convicted, like we wouldn't need to have a sales training, we wouldn't need to have a script, we wouldn't need to have any of this stuff, right? You would just need to go be focusing on how to make your product so good that you feel bad that people don't get to experience it.
Mm-hmm. Alex calls it missionaries, not mercenaries.
Mm,
If you're an actual missionary,
that's awesome. Yeah.
you would just, I mean, think what missionaries do. They go to third countries and they push their belief system because they are so convicted about it, but for no money, right?
Yeah.
The mercenary person is like just the hired hitman. Like, I just don't like that kind of sales like that. I don't sleep well at night. But if you actually believe in the mission that you're doing, you can do it. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like fitness is kind of, I guess, simpler to be like, I'm changing lives, but like I don't know. The girl has been cleaning my homes for the last 9 years. I love her. She's like the greatest human. And when I tell you she's like a missionary when it comes to cleaning, she loves it. She goes, you understand, I love making people's homes clean. Like she's so like dedicated to it. And she has like a whole like a book of stories from like the things that have happened over like her 20-year career. But like you can really be passionate about whatever you're doing. You just have to like find that little spark sometimes.
Yeah, that's awesome. James, I don't know. I don't see any questions on my sheet here, so I don't know. I'm sure there's questions in the chat, but will you take some of those questions and put them on there? That way I can start asking Ed some questions from the people on here. I got a couple more questions for Ed and myself. I know everybody else on here probably wants some love, wants some questions from Ed as well. So if you don't mind, if you guys do have questions, again, continue to ask in the chat. James will be grabbing those and putting them in there. That way we can get to as many of those as we possibly can. We have Ed for another half hour, so he's got to get to bed, man. It's almost 9 o'clock on the East Coast, man. So
good. I got Nicorette gum to keep me going. I'm fine. Let's rock.
so fun. You must have got that from Alex.
I did. The amount of like similar habits that I picked up, I'm just like, all right, people are gonna make fun of me and be like, what I'm like, whatever. It's fine.
When you get Alex and Dr. Kashi in a room, and just like some of the shit that you'll pick up is just like,
Oh. Well, we were at the book launch, so when we were there for the launch in Vegas, and I don't know, does everybody know that Dr. Kashi, who made Procedure Labs, is also the co-author of the books? Like, does you know that?
I read the opening thing to everybody, so they understood that. I was like, how
Cool.
important that he is to this whole process. So
yeah, he's literally the smartest person that any of us have ever met, like hands down. In our sales training, like the slide deck, that like the PowerPoint that we use to sell supplements, there's a joke about Dr. Kashi. We're like, if Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory was jacked, that'd be Dr. Kashi. He's like that level smart, and it just gets that corny laugh every time, and it just sells subs. I forget where I was going with that, but yeah, the combination of those two in the same room it's probably one of the things I appreciate the most is just hanging around and realizing how much more I need to learn and grow as a person. Like, if you don't hang out with people that are forcing you to grow, like they're not friends. That's my opinion.
Awesome. We'll get to some questions here in a second, but you touched on something because you were at the book launch. Was anybody on here? Was anybody out here? Did you guys watch the book launch probably on YouTube for the first half of it, and then finally you guys got into the Zoom room? Again, type in the chat if you guys watched Alex's $1 million leads book launch. There was 500,000 people who were registered for it. And Ed, do you know the numbers? How many people actually got on? A couple hundred
So
thousand?
so there was a glitch. It's in Layla's most recent vlog. Basically, all the tech broke like when they went live.
Yeah.
So I think there was something like 200,000 plus people that couldn't get in, and then like another 200,000 people that were like actually in the room. But yeah, it was wild. It was a pretty cool thing to witness.
Yeah. Kind of share some of the behind the scenes because I'm like, again, like a lot of us were watching it on YouTube or watching it on the Zoom room. So kind of what was your experience? What were some of the things that you picked up maybe that would be valuable to everybody here?
Um, I mean, I was asking Alex like about the preparation and stuff. And so not only did he spend 6 hours a day for 2 years writing the book, he spent something like 2.5 months preparing the presentation. And he did, I think it was a full like dress rehearsal of it, like with his team, like on Zoom every morning for like 2 or 3 weeks. So my background's actually when I was a kid, I did theater. And so I like, prepping for a show and like learning your lines and all that stuff. Like I just remember those days. And I'm like, I think he's the only business person I know that prepares like a professional performer. You know what I mean? Like most of us would just like spend a day on a sales deck, you know what I mean? Like, and then go to a conference and just like, wing it. He spent 2+ weeks every day. So like dozens of full run throughs. And he's like, I know every word without any slide. Like he knew every single word, every pause, every joke, every little thing was like super scripted out. So his level of calmness before going in front of hundreds of thousand people was just incredible. And he's so calm. He's like, as he goes, the work's done. Like just press go, just go live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, so that's something that I really admire, just seeing that backstage because he's just so calm. He's like, all right, ready? Well, let's go. And just start it. Meanwhile, Layla's running around like crazy because she's running the whole behind the scenes
Yeah.
as things are breaking. But I think that poise and calmness is pretty admirable. And that only comes from unreasonable amounts of effort.
I think you said it a couple times, but like as Alex would say, like you don't hear it until you hear it 7 times. And so like regardless of what it is that we're focused on and that that the target is, like the amount of effort, the amount of volume, the amount of work that it takes for you to be not just good, but to be excellent, it's going to be past what you have already done. What you currently think it is, like it's going to be more. And each time that you do the thing, it's like you every time you're able to do it more, you're able to prove to yourself that maybe there's more inside me, right?
Mm-hmm.
We put these like glass ceilings on ourselves of what we're capable of, whether it be from an effort standpoint, a sacrifice, a focus, attention. And when you're around people like Alex and other high performers, that's the value is that you can just like it shatters this glass ceiling, like, oh, like shit, I guess I could do more. Because that man puts on the same pants that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the value of being in rooms like this, being around other business owners as well, is like you think you're the shit when you're doing $50,000-$60,000 a month, and then you have somebody else who's doing $70,000-$80,000 a month, and then all of a sudden you have somebody who's doing a couple $100,000 a month, and then you have guys who are doing $1 million a month. You're like, shit,
Yeah.
different levels.
Well, I'll tell you a short story to that point. So you were probably at the 2019 Gym Launch Summit, right? The big one in Austin. Okay, so I had just become a client a few months before that. And before that, since I was in the fitness kickboxing space, I was already making like business content because in the fitness kickboxing little world of Long Island, New York, I was like the man. I would do like $45,000 a month, which is like unheard of because everybody else did like 15 or 20. I was like, I thought I was the shit, dude. I was like, I'm killing it. Everybody's coming to me for business advice. And so, I'm like mid-20, I'm like, I'm killing this, right? And I signed up for Gym Launch because my friend Mike Ferreira had signed up and basically like caught up to my level of revenue in like 3 months. And I was like, wait a second. Like I just was angry. I was like, my friend's beating me. I gotta go find out why. So I was like, the mustache guys, like it's that company actually works. He's like, yes. I signed up and I skipped the sales call. I was like, dude, here's my credit card. Let's just go. I gotta beat my friend. So I get started and I go to the summit, shortly after that. And my only objective was to meet people that were doing better than me. So first person I talked to was actually Kale, which is really funny. He doesn't remember it, but like
That's
the first
awesome.
person I met, he just like sold his gym for like multiple six figures. And I was like, oh, I was like, interesting. I was like, you can sell these things? This is crazy. I was like, you can actually exit a business and not live in it forever? Crazy. And the next person I met, I was like, so what kind of revenue you guys do? He's like, oh, like 120 a month. And I was like, a month? He's like, yeah. And I asked him like, how his day structure would, like every question. Next person, 100 grand a month. Next person, 95. I was like, okay. And I made the decision. I go, I'm going to shut the fuck up now. I stopped making business content. I stopped doing anything but just learning from the people that were better than me for the next like 3 years. I just shut up and put my head down and worked because I just had that big fish, little pond moment. And I was like, I don't want to be the big fish in the little pond. So I just stopped all the ego driven things that I was doing. And I just wanted to learn from everybody else. But it took like that like ego punch in the face to realize I wasn't actually as good as I thought I was, which was a blessing.
That's awesome. And so, not that maybe you guys are curious. So outside of gym launch, the way that Ed and I actually got connected is because
Yeah.
Ed hired a guy named Jason Moreno to be his video guy. Was this back like 11 years ago? 10 years ago?
I met, when did I hire Jason? I think I hired him in early 2018, I want to say.
Oh, it's about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ed hired this guy named Jason Moreno, and was his it was your personal videographer, right? Just kind of walked around with you, kind of like, if you does anyone here follow Gary Vee? Does anyone here follow Gary Vee? Does anyone know
I'm
who
rocking
Gary Vee
a
is?
sweatshirt. It's a Gary Vee sweatshirt, actually.
There you go.
0% complaining. It's my favorite Gary shirt.
So um so Gary Vee was kind of made famous the idea of like having a videographer with you all the time, right? Vlog style. And so Jason followed Ed around for a couple years. How long was it? How long did he follow you around for?
Yeah, it was like 2 years. Yeah, one year full time. The first year was like part time, and then the second year was like full time every day, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think Ed was actually the one who introduced Jason to the people where he ended up working for Gary Vee,
Yeah.
right? And so now Jason works for Gary Vaynerchuk, and I now consult with Jason once a week on my social media, right?
Mhm.
And so Jason coaches me on building brand social media, and he works for Gary Vaynerchuk, is the same person who followed Ed around for a couple of years, and so that's how we kind of got reconnected.
Mhm.
But how me and Jason also got connected is because Caleb, who's Alex's video guy, also worked for Gary Vee,
Mhm.
right? And so it's kind of funny how the worlds can be small when you show up to when you're in groups like this, right? When you're around people who are doing cool things, like although it seems really big, at the same time it's actually very small. Like these circles are very small, and so everyone on here who like sees Alex, he's so far away, like now maybe you're only 1 or 2 degrees away, right? And if you continue to show up in these groups, you continue to come to events, you continue to network with other people, then you'd be surprised that all of a sudden one day you end up in the same room, right?
Mhm.
And then you're just like, how do I start to compete with guys like Ed Turney? How do I compete with these guys and like use them as reasons for me to grow my businesses, right? And so that's kind of what we're doing inside this community is, hey, they see that Nick White is doing $20,000 a month, and they see Renee Krause is doing $34,000 a month, and like, hey, like I want to beat her, not a standpoint of like you do less, but I want to raise myself up,
Mhm.
right? And so that's kind of what we're building here in the cleaning community, and it's exciting, right? It's basically like, if you think about it, it's like gym launch but for cleaning business, right?
Makes
And
sense.
and it's free. That's the crazy part, right? And it's free.
It's called an irresistible offer. Something's so good, people would say feel stupid saying no. I heard that's the way you make offers. Yeah.
That's some guy said that. I don't know. Never heard of
What's
him. Never
what's
heard of
really
her.
cool, what's really cool about that whole full circle story is that if I had not spent 10 grand on a ticket to go to Gary Vee's office for a 1 day mastermind thing when it first came out, the 4Ds thing that he does, me and Jason were the very first one.
That's
I
awesome.
did not have 10 grand. Like I literally was like, I have to go to this thing. I know I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna meet people, network, grow. Like I just knew it was gonna work. And I spent the money I didn't have and then found a way to make the money with like selling memberships, like year-long memberships. If I didn't do that, none of this would have happened, for myself, Jason, and everybody else. Um, and I've never ever regretted taking that financial risk when I knew that the return was going to be access to people, access to information. Like I feel like not enough people are willing to like make that big commitment. And the scarier it is for me, the more I've actually benefited from it. Because when the pressure's on, like all of a sudden you can make more money. It's always that weird thing, you know?
I, I feel the same way. That's all of my biggest movements have come from me investing, like making the commitment, and for me, how I measure commitment is like a lot of it is through dollars. And so like bigger the outlay, the more I'm like, okay, like now I'm committed. Now I have to make this work. And I believe that us all as humans, we're very good at figuring it out.
Mhm.
We're very bad at putting ourselves in situations that we have to figure it out.
Yeah. Your community might appreciate this fun fact too. Jason called me before he had his first call with you and asked me advice on how to sell this new client of his. And here's the best part. I didn't know it was you. Like I didn't ask who the name was. I'm like, what are the
That's
odds
so
I'm gonna
funny.
know the person? He's like, I got this opportunity. It's like a consulting gig. He goes, how would you structure the conversation and like offer him a sale? Like, what would be the pitch? And I outlined it for him. And then he texts, he's like, he bought it. And I was like, awesome. And then like a month later, I'm like watching your stuff on Instagram. And I was like, Logan's really stepped up his content. And then like Jason's like, check out this video for my new client. I'm like, I know Logan. Like it was so funny. I had no idea it was you until it was like a month later.
Funny. So funny. Well, I'm very similar to you. I was like, dude, just pick like send me the Venmo. That's how he does it. He does Venmo because he doesn't have a business yet, right? So I was like, dude, just send it over. I don't care what it costs, right? So fun.
Sounds like it's working for you.
Dude, he's amazing, right? And yeah, as a hint, he's maybe somebody that maybe went bring him into the community. We'll see. So all right, we got some questions for you here. So thank you guys for being on here. Thank you guys for showing up again. Like this means a lot to me, and I know Ed, it's very much appreciated when you're a guest and people actually show up and they're active and they're participating.
Totally.
Right, it's fun. It's not always like again, like he can do anything. It's 9:17 on Wednesday night. Could be doing anything. He's hanging out with us. So if you guys can, before we get into the questions, go give him some love again in the chat. How much you appreciate him. Go follow him on Instagram. He's putting a ton of content out. It's amazing. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I love this stuff. I tell my girlfriend all the time, if I could do this 9 hours a day, I would. This is literally my favorite thing to do. Like always.
Yeah, so awesome. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, so Nick White has a question here. So he's got a window cleaning company.
Huh?
How would you do a window cleaning company and convert that into home cleaning? Or you could even go the other way around. If you had a home cleaning business, because most people on here are home cleaning, how would you turn the window cleaning into an affiliate partner?
Oh, an affiliate partnership?
Or just like how would you use your customer? So we all have cleaning businesses, and let's say that I want to go find an affiliate. I want to go find a window cleaning company to basically do an affiliate deal with them.
Hmm.
How would you do that?
How would I structure the relationship with the affiliate?
Yeah, like everything from like how would you open the conversation to like would you pay for the service, all that stuff, and then
Yeah. So the one thing I've learned about partnerships as a small business, and this is just my opinion, is that generally you don't get great relationships by just asking in the beginning. You really need to go and like give. So one, I would want to protect the integrity of my service and my clients. So I would vet a whole bunch of different ones like in that space. And if that means like hiring a bunch of them, right, to figure out who's the actual best, who's got the best customer service, who impresses me. And then I would just send that business without any ask in return. This is what I would do. And I would pick a certain number of reps. And then I would follow up with that business, say, hey, I just want to thank you because I sent 17 of my clients over the last 6 weeks and they all had raving reviews about you. I just wanted to thank you for really taking care of my people. If you approach something like that, who's not going to be like, tell me more, right? Because you already sent them and you made them money. So that's the first thing I would do. And that takes patience and takes effort. And you got to like actually put the work in. Because the last thing I want is an affiliate that's going to make me look bad. Like that's like my biggest fear. So that's what I would do. And then I would structure something. I don't know what the price points are, like what the lifetime value of these services are, but I would find a way to give them a big incentive on the front end. So every person they sent me, they would get like a big portion of the first sale and then probably a smaller aspect of the recurring, so that from a human behavior standpoint, they get that dopamine hit of like, I just connected somebody and I made money without doing anything. Once someone feels that for the first time, it becomes addictive. And then if there's a back end recurring aspect to their commissions, I would structure it that way. They're both service-based businesses, so I think that's how I'd approach it. If there's someone that has like your list of people, I think them using your service and then doing a big launch to their client base, like we do for Prestige Labs, makes more sense. But I'm not super educated in that space, but that's how I would approach the relationships. And that takes time.
I think that's really good. So kind of fill some of the gaps in for everyone who's on here. So I have customers, I have a home cleaning business, I have clients. I want to send my clients to this window cleaning company who I don't own, right? And so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test this window cleaning company myself. I'm gonna have them I'm gonna have them come over to my house and like see their service, see what they do, and like, okay, like there's enough trust in there. And then I'm just gonna start sending my clients over to them, and they just like for free. Like there's no like they don't give me any money back. I'm just basically using them, and I keep on asking my clients like, how's the service? How's the service? These are my best clients. I let them know. I set the expectation, and they're like, dude, they're amazing. They're amazing. And then I go to the window cleaning company. I say, hey, I've just sent over 5 people. They really like you. Are you liking it too? Like, yeah. It's like, you want to continue this thing, and then you set up more of a formal agreement. Is
Yeah.
that is that right?
100%. And I always like the model where like you can offer a discount on that service when they sign up for yours. So I'll give you the gym example. We'll get the best massage therapist, the best smoothie place in town, the best like Globo gym membership, because like we're like kickboxing gym, which is like boutique. We get 7 or 8 different businesses we believe in, and then they all give us first month free, $100 off, like all this stuff. And then all of our new clients get all of those discounts and all those ancillary services they're going to use anyway, which makes our membership feel more valuable. And now the other business owners can track where those leads are coming from. So
awesome.
that would be the next step to set it up, because it has to be worth it for them. As long as that business owner knows their acquisition cost is, like if it costs them $200 to get $1,000, let's say, and if they give $100 discount, but they're getting a lead for free, a client for free. Now they've cut their acquisition cost in half. They're still getting the same lifetime value, and then I'm still looking cool.
That's awesome. And that might be something that as we know, most business owners don't know the cost of acquisition. So if you can help educate them on there so you understand how to calculate that for them, or at least help them with that, then you become valuable to them. And like, oh, cool. Then this makes sense, right? Because they're like, I don't know, like, where'd you get $100 from?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So that's why it's important for you guys to know what your cost acquisition is, use the intelligence sheet, understand your data, so then you can you can educate a window cleaning company or organizing company or some other company that you want to affiliate with, and you ultimately build more trust.
Yeah. How many of people in your community have their own podcast, like business podcast? Anybody?
That's a good question. Does anyone in here have their own podcast?
So it's definitely something I don't think you should do at the beginning until you like have a lot of traction, you're hitting certain revenue, targets. But I'll steal from Gary Vee directly. You've heard this many times, I'm sure. If you had a local podcast where you interviewed business owners
Yeah.
and just put them on the map, everybody would say yes to you. Really hard to get a coffee with someone, like a cold call to like have lunch and just talk business. But it's like, hey, want to be on my podcast? We talk about service-based businesses in Clearwater, Florida. They're all going to say yes. And then that's a really easy way to get an introduction to somebody. Now that takes more time, effort, and attention. But like if you're at a level where it's like, how do I actually scale from like 50 to 100K a month? That might be a solution.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things that again are nuanced that you said that I want to really hit on. That like these things take time. So it's not like a hump and dump, right? It's not like you get to like just I get an affiliate tomorrow. It's like take some time. Do you have to invest? Is there a little bit of risk on your end? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But as long as you're playing a long enough game, then does it make sense? Right. So again, most people who are hearing this won't want to do that because as human beings, we want that immediate fix, and that's okay. However, the things that last are also the things that take time.
Mm-hmm. Give the other person the immediate dopamine hit, and you
exactly.
don't for 5 years. If you can play the long game and help everybody else win in the short game, like to me, that's worked really well. That's why there's
really
there's value to hyper focus, but there's also value to saying yes to random things.
Yeah.
Because those random things might lead to me being on a podcast with Logan 5 years later.
Dude, what you said right there is like give them the dopamine hit. Like have them get that immediate gratification. So like you can feel that when you give it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm taking that. That's awesome.
Cool.
Okay. A couple more questions here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about time management. I don't know if this is something that you have frameworks around, but this person asks, what do you find to be your most efficient leverage point for time management?
Mhm.
And then how do you spend the time you gain back?
Yeah. It took me a really, really long time to let go of the things in the business that didn't actually drive things forward, like the big dominoes. Like I didn't let go of billing for the longest time. I didn't let go of customer support emails for the longest time. I just didn't let go of those things. And looking back, it's because I wasn't willing to put in the work to gain the skill to train someone to do it better than me.
Yeah.
Again, it's long term versus short term. The short term thing is I can just answer all the emails because I know what to say and I know all the answers, as opposed to just take 25 hours and build the SOPs and build the trainings for your team, and then build a training process and build a QA where you actually check and verify they're doing it well. So you can take 20 hours of work and make it 2 hours of work, but it might take you 100 hours to build it out. So it's like build it out once, make it exceptional, and then you earn your time back for the rest of your life. But most people just don't think about it that way. They sit down, they open up their email, they respond to everybody else asking them of their time, as opposed to thinking, what is the one thing today that I could do that will help me in the next 5 years? And that's usually the super boring stuff that no one actually wants to do. So the biggest lever is just being able to equip other people to do it as good or better than you. And you'll be surprised. Like we're all one employee away from like doubling our company. Like we all are. Like you got to do 100 interviews. You got to, get the reps in, just like anything else.
And so the cleaning business and the fitness business, there's so many similarities.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest difference in the cleaning versus the fitness is the bottleneck in fitness is the clients, and the bottleneck in the cleaning is the cleaners, right?
Yeah.
And so what you said right there is more true than maybe you even understand. Is like like doubling your cleaners will legitimately double your business.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the game.
Yeah. So something that Layla taught both of us, I'm sure you have the same thing for your business, is if you do not have a compelling vision of what you want your company to be and you don't have core values in which you make decisions through the lens of your company, probably never going to grow. Because it's just going to be a one man or one woman show with a bunch of like part-time helpers. Even a cleaning business could have a very like high level mission. You know what I mean? Like it could be to help 10,000 families in the community. It could be to give back X number of hours to hardworking moms, you know what I mean, to spend more time with their kids and have to clean. Like you could have a mission and then core values, and you could teach your employees how to grow and do personal development within your company. There's so many giant companies that like spent the personal development money and time to just help every single employee grow as a human being, and then because of that they're $1 billion company. So like I don't think like the mechanism doesn't really matter what the service or the product is. If you invest in the people, you will have way more time and way more leverage.
That's so valuable. That's so valuable. That's one of that's so important, especially because most people very similar to the gym world is that they're cleaners who decided that they were going to start a business, right? Like we were gym owners who decided we like maybe we should do a business out of this, and so the smart ones are the business owners who are like then they go find people who like to run gyms and people who like to clean, um, and so the only way you're going to build $1 million business is through people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not on your back, not on Ed's back, not on Logan's back, but on the back of amazing people, right? Amazing cleaners, amazing staff. And I think that's one of the messages that is, I think that's why Layla is actually so valuable. And like, that's so good. I think that's actually the best advice that you said is like, we love Alex, go listen to Layla's stuff too. Man, her stuff is like truly like very tactical. You could use it. Like, you can use it right away. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the secret weapon. Like I will say that till the day I die. I tell everybody that because most people don't follow her. And I'm like, you're missing out. I'm like, my favorite podcast is her podcast.
Yeah.
Like hers is my favorite. I've grown more teams and businesses with her tactical and mindset advice than Alex's. And not to say Alex's isn't super valuable, but like hers is what scales.
So funny to say that. Like the podcast. So when I go to the gym, I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to Alex's podcast. I listen to Layla's podcast. I listen to my podcast. Like just
Yep.
mainly for me, just to dissect myself. Not that I need to justify it, but
Yeah.
like today, I started Layla's back at the beginning. She's got like 75 episodes, and I'm like listening to her stuff today. Like so,
Mhm.
it's funny because you and I didn't talk before this, but we're on the same wavelength of like that's the person. So again, like that's what can keep going after this interview, guys, is if you guys go on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, build with Layla, and like put that in your earbuds whenever you're going for walks or you're working out or you're doing something. Like it's just great. It's great information to prompt you like, oh, that's really good. And there's so much stuff that like I'm on my phone, like in my notes, like, oh, that was good. I'm still in this. I'm still in this. Like anyway, I go through my notes, but
Your little
okay. So good. Okay. Let's ask one more question, and then we get out of here. Sorry, Ed. I'm gonna keep you for a little bit over here. So
We can do
again,
more. We can do two more if you want. I love
okay,
this.
okay.
Yeah.
Give Ed some love. Give Ed some love. Again, it's 9:30 on the East Coast. Appreciate you, my friend. Okay, so let's see. Out of Alex's book, which one has the process you followed that made you the 53K, that hit 53K?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the question. I'm not sure if you want to maybe change out of Alex's book, which one has the process you followed that made you hit 53K?
So the specific process, which is free, by the way, if you're a Prestige Labs affiliate, we give it all away free too, just like Logan. But Gym Launch Secrets is actually Alex's first book that no one knows about. Gym Launch Secrets is actually like the one. I see it on the shelf over there. Yeah, that's actually the winner. So even though it is a book about running a gym, I really think that'd be valuable for the audience because it's a service-based book. It's like how to build a profitable service-based business. So like I think you could retrofit a lot of the things in the gym business model to the cleaning space. Like I really do. So that'd be like the book. And it's the only book I've read more than once, and I've read it 12 times. Literally, I've never read a book more. I usually don't finish books, period, but I've done that 12 times. Usually the Audible version. Like every
Yeah,
vacation is
yeah.
Gym Launch Secrets on Audible while on my way. Every time.
So with that being said, this book like I don't know if you can get a paper anymore. Can you still get this book in paper?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you guys can get this book in paper, but you guys also can get an Audible. And again, one more ready? This is the third time now. This is the third time. So if you guys want access to this book or you guys want access to $100 leads, I'll give you one more opportunity. You guys can take a picture of me and Ed on the screen right now, and you on the screen, right? Take a picture, tag us on Instagram, tag Ed, me, and Alex, and I'll send you this book as well.
Let's tag Layla. Let's get Layla some tags. What's up?
Should we tag Layla too? All right.
Yeah. Like
And we'll
she's
tag Layla.
a weapon. Yeah.
Look at that. Ed wants Layla to get some love, and I do too. So take a picture, give Layla some love, give Ed some love, and you guys get access to this book. It's funny because on Kale's podcast, I talked about I had just read that, so it's probably been 6 or 8 weeks since I read this book again. But I was like thinking about it now from in a different business playing using this, and I was like, oh, this is good. So again, to bridge the gap, like yes, like this is about gyms, but it definitely applies to cleaning. Like it's the same. It's a similar business model.
I've had friends that are in acupuncture space, physical therapy, a sandwich shop. Like I've had friends with other businesses that read that book and it changed their business. So like it's a business principles book, which is why it's kind of timeless. He just doesn't talk about it because it's not part of the new series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good. One thing I talked about this on Kale's podcast too is it's actually really cool to see like this book, the Gym Launch Secrets book it's really good. And then when you're able to read offers and leads, like you'll see what 2 years of editing, how much it makes a difference. Because it's the same person who writes both books. It's just the cashier effect plus 2 hours or 2 years of like scribbling out words like nope, 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 nope. So back to the volume, back to the level of effort that required to make something go from good to great it's just work.
Yeah, well, one of our core values for my companies is violence is the answer. We talk about it all the time. And what we mean by violence is an unreasonable amount of volume and effort. It always takes more than you think it does. And so just don't stop. Like, just don't stop. Whatever you've created, go back and do it better. Like you won't regret it.
No one ever regretted working hard.
I haven't.
Ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. All right. Which is great. So this one of the questions that just came in. Work ethic.
Yeah.
How do you build it?
I think a good frame is how do you not build it? So I like to do the reverse. There's something else I learned from Alex. So it's like, how do you have terrible work ethic? You would tell yourself you're going to do something for the business, and then you would not do it. And every time you do that, you believe in yourself less, you break promises to yourself more, you have less self-esteem, less confidence, uh, and then ultimately you get nothing done. So the opposite of that would be make a promise to yourself and then actually do it. And for me, I actually, for a long time, I probably still struggle with a little bit, but I just wanted to speak that over myself. I probably have let myself down a lot in the past. And every time I do that, I just become less and less motivated, right? Motivated to like do the work.
Yeah.
So I would just lower the bar of getting started. So I'd be like, okay, I got to do this giant project. I'm going to do 20 minutes today. And that's it. I'd send my little timer and I'd do 20 minutes. And then the timer goes off and I'm like, cool, feels good. And the next time I do 30 minutes, next time I do 40 minutes. It's just a muscle. It's like going to the gym and lifting weights. It's like the first time it sucks. But if you say you're going to go to the gym and then you don't believe in yourself and your self-esteem is just getting, destroyed.
Yeah.
So set a small goal, accomplish a small goal. I'm a big fan of writing it on physical paper and crossing it out. That's like my dopamine hit.
Yeah.
I got, and if I'm really struggling with like quote unquote motivation, I'll write down like do the laundry and I'll cross it out, just cross it out and do it. Like something simple, you know what I mean? It's like fold the whatever, organize the thing, clean your desk before you start working. Just doing little things. I know it's super corny and cliche, but like that works for me because there's real momentum in that dopamine, like little hits. And so if I'm like, I don't know where to start, just start with something small. And then before you know it, you did 3 hours of productive work.
Yeah. Let me follow that up. How do you keep going? You've been doing it for a year, a long period of time, and you're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
The light is like starting to dim.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can't see. How do you get out of this? How,
Mm-hmm.
how do you continue to work even when hope starts to
Yeah.
dim?
You have to change the goal. The goal can't be the finish line. The goal has to be the work. If the goal is the work, you will be accomplished every single day. So for Prestige Labs, for example, it was a giant undertaking, right? So if I was like, when we hit this number of dollars, right, at the end of the year, I'm going to be happy. I'm never going to be happy because then you hit the number of dollars and you're like, I'm not happy yet, right? Yeah. Like, if your goal is to be consistent with the work and cross the things off the list, you will feel accomplished every single day. I'll give you a content example. I started taking content more seriously about 9 or 10 months ago, went from posting once a day to 3 times a day. And I told the video editor, I said, hey, listen, the goal is just 3 times a day. That's all I care about. I was like, just make sure we get 3 videos per day, every single day. I don't care about the performance at all. The 500th reel, literally number 500, was the first viral one, took off 1 million on TikTok and Instagram. It was like so cool. And I didn't even notice it because I wasn't paying attention to the numbers. Like 3 days later, I was like, oh shit, this thing, like, why am I getting these followers? I was like, what happened? Because the goal was just 3 a day. Right. And then the result happened because I just committed to the 3 a day thing. So I think if you're like low or you feel depressed, you're like, it's never going to happen. It's because you want the, end of the movie. You want the triumphant victory scene. It's like, it never comes. It never happens. Like, you just become the brokest person in the new room. Like whatever level of money you make, you're just the new broke guy in the next level. So I think if you fall in love with the actual, the process, the work, whatever you want to call it, if that's the goal, you can stay consistent.
The goal is the work. That's what I took from that. Is like the goal is the work, and then like that's something you can win at every single day.
Yeah, and we have to win. Like, so I'll give you a Dr. Kashi thing. You probably heard this before, but he always talks about the more things you measure, the more ways you can win. So he has a giant nutrition, coaching company, help people with weight loss and stuff. You were a client, I was a client. And if you measure like weight and body fat and endurance and sleep and steps and how many macros you hit perfectly, if you measure all the things, you could be 3 out of 7, but you accomplished 3. You saw progress in 3 of the categories. So you're like, I'm crushing it in 3 of the 7 categories. If you're only looking at one thing like the scale, you probably will get discouraged and give up. If you're just looking at I won $1 million in my bank account, every day it's not there, you feel like shit. So it's like measure all different ways of winning. This way you can kind of trick yourself and get those short-term dopamine hits so that you can play the long game.
Good. So good. All right, Eddie, you get one more question?
Yeah, let's do it, man. I love it.
Okay, but before we answer this question, James, will you drop Ed's Instagram handle in the chat and go follow Ed? Go check out that video. It's on the very top of his profile. that has over 1 million views. It's a fire video. And yeah, and just show your love through action by following and going and liking a couple of Ed's stuff. And Ed, thanks, my friend. Like it's actually like I don't come into these things with expectations, but this has definitely exceeded my expectations, and hopefully everybody else. Hey, has this exceeded your guys' expectations? Christine and Renee and Kelly, Lucas, you guys are the ones who I see up here.
I mean,
Everybody else on here. We still have 50 people on here. It's wild.
I mean, awesome. They don't know me at all, so I feel like the bar was pretty low for expectations.
Well, but the problem is that I was talking you up, so that's what I'm saying. It's okay. Hopefully we've met and even exceeded those expectations. So
thank you guys. Samuel, thank you. Nicole, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so last question, and this is a question that I have too as well. So earlier, Ed, you mentioned Alex's 1 of 0.
Mm-hmm.
What is that about? And for everyone who's interested, how do we go learn more about that?
So it's a secret project. So if you just go to oneofzero.com, you can sign up for like the notifications for when things come out. But it's more just I don't want to speak on his behalf, but it's more just a philosophy. So everybody talks about be one of one, do what, be unique. But his media team, actually, Caleb and those guys, they were watching him put this work together for this book launch. And they were like, made the joke of like, dude, this isn't even 1 of 1. This is 1 of 0. Like, nobody would do this. Like, this is a ridiculous amount of work. Like, this is crazy. And then, of course, if you guys are on the call, he did the big value stack. Then he's like, and it's all free, which is just nobody would do that. Like, people would, like, he could have extracted $50 million out of that call easily. Like, we all know that. And he didn't do it. And that's just, it's 1 of 0. Like, no one would actually do that. So I think it's a good frame. Like, if you want to live this like extraordinary life, you're going to have to act very differently from everybody else. So I think don't just be like the 1%, just be like the 1 of 0, the undefined percentage, right? That no one else would do that kind of work or that effort. And most people don't think long term. So the people we admire think in decades. Alex, Gary Vee, they think in decades. It's like, how can I make my life extraordinary? It's like, well, I'll probably put in a ridiculous amount of work for the next 30 years before the payoff, And so that's my interpretation of what that project is about.
And you said there's a website as well?
It's the number 1, the word of the number 0.com.
Cool. Yeah. I'll post a link inside the group for anybody who, if you can't find 1of0.com, that way everybody else can get access to it. But Ed, thank you, man. This was really fun.
Thanks. Hope we do it again.
Yeah. Appreciate having you on again, guys. If you can, show Ed some love. Go follow my Instagram. Give him some love right here in the chat. And thank you guys for showing up. We still have 50 people on here. That's about how many we had when we started. So apparently, what you were saying, people wanted to hear more. So thank you.
I just had good mentors. I'm just regurgitating all the things I've learned. That's it. I don't have any original ideas. I'm just louder than most people. I just talk fast and I'm from New York.
I would argue with that. You're very well articulated and very real, right? And authentic. That's what I was looking for. Very authentic. And I think there's something that is attractive to people who are real and authentic and in both humble and both being humble, but also like telling the truth of like, hey, like I'm actually like I kind of in the shit a little bit. So
yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Till next time.
Awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much again. Give Ed some love, guys. Ed, appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. See everybody soon.
All right, guys. What do you guys think? Is that good? Is that awesome?
That was amazing.
Pull my chat up now. I had the chat down. I was getting distracted. You guys were distracting me a little bit, so I had to stay focused.
So good.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. That was awesome. Ed's amazing.
That was awesome. Thanks, Logan.
Thank you, guys.
Logan, that call was really good. I have a question because I can't find the Gym Launch Secrets book on Amazon, only the Kindle and paper or Kindle and Audible, but I'm like a paperback nerd. I love having books on my shelf. It's reselling on eBay for like $200 to $300, so it has to be gold. Like there's no
Oh, that's
paperback. So then I
so
thought I
funny.
found it and it was the gym launch like handbook or something. So it's totally different.
That's
I
funny.
need this book.
That's awesome. I got a couple of them. I guess I could sell this for like $200 or $300. That's what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Yeah, get the Kindle version, or not the Kindle, the Audible version to start with. And yeah, I had no idea if the print version was still out there or not. But the Audible version is good. Again, I just listened to it, but it's awesome. So good. Thank you guys for being on here. Hopefully you guys got value from this and all the cool bonuses. Hopefully that was incentive to get you to show up. But obviously the headliner was Ed, and get to hear kind of what he said. And
Chequea a ver si se puso.
hold on, I gotta mute Jose now. Jose's yelling at his wife in Spanish, probably. No. Thank you guys. This was fun. And yeah, we will do a we got a $1 million Google ad training that we got to do sometime. So again, if you guys haven't already, post in the group. James, if you'll drop the thing one more time. If you guys want to have the opportunity to have your Google ad, your $1 million Google ad campaign built for you for free, simply drop how much revenue that you had before you're doing the masterclass, how much money you're doing now that you've been part of the masterclass. Again, as a way to share with the other, what's the math on this now? 1,600 people inside our Facebook group that do not know how valuable that this resource is that's right in front of them. Like everything that Ed just talked about, what they're doing for Gym Launch and Prestige Labs, like that is what the masterclass is. Like, just so you guys know, like I've modeled the masterclass off that and continuing to add to it with these trainings to continue to make it better and better. And so Gym Launch is, I don't even know what Gym Launch is anymore. $3,000 or $4,000 a month. Okay. And so like that's what this is all modeled off of, and it's all free. So, and it continues to get better. Like we continue to update it. We continue to like, you guys use it and you guys bring me back data so I can continue to put it right back into the masterclass. And so this $1 million business model, it's growing because our community is growing. So more people that are able to use it, the faster we can all grow, because 2,500 people is a small amount of people, right? And the cleaning business community is a small amount of people. And right now, this market is like, it's going like this, right? We're on a rocket ship right now. Some of you guys realize it. Some of you guys might not understand that, like, the demand for cleaning services is increasing a lot, right? And when the market demand increases very fast, like it has, some of the bigger people start to notice. They start to look around like, huh, I can come into a market that has a bunch of, for lack of a better word, ignorant business owners, cleaners who turn into business owners. I can say that, right? Who are not actually business owners, and they can beat you easy, because business is always going to beat the person who's like obsessed with the product itself, whether it's owning a gym, whether it's cleaning. And so that's what the masterclass does, is it teaches you how to it gives you the opportunity to become better at business, the skill of business and leadership and sales and marketing. Okay. All the skill sets that you need. Because if you don't do it, somebody is going to come into your market and beat you. That's it. Right. And I don't see it so much as like a competition thing. I just see it more as like, if you do not rise up to the occasion, then the market is going to beat you. Right? The clients will just stop doing business with you. So it's not that another cleaning business owner is going to come in. It's just the market will stop wanting to do business with you because you're not meeting the market's expectations. Okay. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being on here. I know you guys on the East Coast. It's almost 10 o'clock. Renee, Nicole, Lucas, all you guys, Jose. Appreciate you guys being who are still on here on the East Coast. And again, if you guys got value from this, like, put it in the Facebook group. Again, there's people. We had 50 people on here, which was great, but there's another 2,350 people in the Facebook group who are not on here. So like, let them know what they missed out on. And the more that we help people understand what, like, it's more than just a Facebook group. There's more than just asking questions. There's trainings, there's master classes, there's cool people. Like, you can meet friends in here, right? And the more momentum we get with this, the more cool things we can do. So appreciate you guys. Happy Wednesday. We'll see you guys sometime next week. Bye, guys.